Assalamu alaikum viewers. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic that is also very important for all competitive exams, college exams, and the techniques or the requirements of these topics are hardly known to anyone. So we are talking about the Precis Writing. So today we will be going in the details of Precis Writing, that how we can make a Precis, what are the requirements of a good Precis. So watch this video till the end and try to understand that how we can make a good Precis. So let's get started. Viewers, let's start with the requirements of a good Precis. We know that when we try to attempt something, we must know that what are the requirements. So for Precis, there are also certain requirements which we must know in the detail in order to make a good Precis. So the very first requirement for Precis is accuracy. Now what should be accurate in Precis? As you can see it on the screen, the number of words used in Precis must be accurate. Now the question arises that what is that number? Now you can see that is the 1/3 of the original passage. So whenever you are making a Precis, the number of words must be accurate. The word used here is must. Now let's suppose if you are getting a passage, the original passage, that passage contains 300 words, and when you are going to make a Precis of that passage must contain 100 words. That is the 1/3 of the original passage. So the very first requirement for making a Precis is accuracy. Number 2, or the second requirement of a good Precis, is brevity. Now by brevity we mean shortness, to be brief, short, concise, precise. Now when we are making a Precis, we know that that is always smaller than the original passage. As I discussed earlier, that is the 1/3 of the original passage. So when you are making a Precis, it should be brief, it should be short, it should be concise and precise. And another important point, avoid being brief at the expense of clarity or completeness. Now for example, when you are making a brief or short passage, it does not mean that you are ignoring all the important ideas and just you are writing few ideas. So you need to be very complete also. So you have to keep all the important ideas, you have to keep the same sense as well. So the first requirement was accuracy and second is brevity. Viewers, the third requirement of a good Precis is clarity. Whenever you are making a Precis, it must be clear. Now what should be clear in Precis? As you can see it on the screen, number 1, it should be simple and language and ideas. It means whatever ideas and language you are writing, that must be clear. Your communication should be straightforward. There should not be any doubt in the passage that you are making. It must speak itself. The passage that you are writing, that must speak itself. It should be very much clear. Second, use your own vocabulary. We know that in original passage, the sentences, the words, the vocab that is used, you cannot use same sentences in your Precis. So you have to use your own vocabulary, and remember that vocab should be very much simple so that the reader can understand it in a very easy way. The other important point about clarity, use simple and short sentences. Remember, when you are making a Precis, do not write lengthy sentences or complex sentences. Try to make short and simple passages and never use sentences from original passage. We know that the certain passages are written in original passage, but when you are making a Precis, do not copy those sentences. You have to use your own sentences that must be simple. But remember, when you are using your own sentences, you have to be very much careful about the ideas or the opinion. You have to keep the same opinions and ideas, but you have to write it in your own language, own sentences. The fourth important point about a good Precis is to limit yourself to the ideas expressed in the original passage. Now this means that whatever ideas are written in the original passage, when you are going to make a précis, you have to keep those same ideas. For example, if there is a topic and you know much about that topic, let's suppose the topic is education, and the writer has discussed 5 different ideas about education in that passage, but you are very much competent and you have gone through that topic and you know 5 more ideas. It means you have got the 10 ideas about that topic, but the writer has discussed just 5. But remember, you are going to make a précis, so you have to limit yourself to those ideas which writer had discussed. You cannot put your own ideas. So avoid being over efficient. Sometimes what happens that the writers who are making a précis, they think that they have got more knowledge and they try to add more ideas in that, but don't do this. And another important thing is, you can see it on the screen, if mistakes are given in the original passage, don't correct it. Now this is very important. If mistakes are given in the original passage, don't correct it. For example, if there is a wrong idea or there is a wrong fact and figure given in the original passage, you are not supposed to correct it. Remember, you are asked to make a précis of whatever passage is given in exam. So do not correct it. You are not going to analyze it. So just make a précis of a passage. Whatever passage is given there, you have to just make a précis of that passage. Number 5, viewers, the requirement of a good précis is add no comments, praise or criticism. Remember, whenever you get a passage, do not give your own comments, do not praise it, do not criticize it. As you can see it on the screen, avoid personal opinions. So don't give any opinion from your own side. You can see it on the screen. Remember, you are supposed to make a précis of the passage. Do not analyze the passage. Even if you like the ideas of the original passage, don't praise it. Similarly, if you disagree with the ideas of the writer, do not criticize it. And remember, you have to keep your likings and dislikings aside. Simply, you have to be very much specific about that passage. Whatever is in the passage, you need to be dedicated towards that passage. Your own criticism, your comments, your praise, that must be kept aside. Number 6 is to separate important ideas from unimportant. This is extremely important. But the question is that how can we decide that this idea is important and this is unimportant? For example, if there is an idea, it can be important for me, but if there is another reader, and they may realize that this is not important. So what is the criteria? On what criteria we can judge that this is the important and this is not important? Viewers, as you can see it on the screen, as it is written, for example, examples. Now remember, examples and précis are not important. Likewise, the idioms, quotations, illustrations, figures of speech, repetitions, explanations, all these things or all these ideas, if they are in the original passage, these are not important. And when you are making a précis, you are supposed to skip these ideas, skip these terms. Do not give any example, do not use any idiom, quotation, illustration, figure of speech, repetition or explanation and précis. Remember, while making a précis, if you are giving any example or if you are using idioms, quotations or figures of speech, the person who will assess your paper, he will not give you marks. He will come to know that you do not know the art of making a précis. So this is extremely important. So don't use these terms, at least in a précis. You can see it on the screen. Let's repeat again. Examples, idioms, quotations, illustrations, figures of speech, repetitions, explanations. All these are not important and these must not be included in a précis. So keep these things in your mind. Sometimes we see that the writers, they are using quotations. When they are making a précis, they use quotations, figures of speech, or other the terms as they are on the screen. But when you are making a précis, be very much careful and try to avoid these terms. Remember, if you are using even one of these terms, you will not get any marks, and the person who will check your paper, he will come to know that you don't know the art of making a précis. Viewers number 7, the person. The what person pronoun we should use. As a rule, précis should be written in third person. Even dialogues and speeches should be reported in third person. Examples I have given: he, she, it, they. So remember, when you are going to make a précis, that must be written in third person pronoun. And if we talk about the tense, number 8, you can see on the screen the what tense we should use in making a précis. Generally, the précis is written in the past tense, except in rare cases where the particular words used by author of the original passage are of the utmost importance. So we mostly use past tense in making a précis, but in certain certain conditions we can use other tense, but mostly generally the tense that is used in précis is past tense. Number 9 is form of speech. Now, what form of speech we should use in making a précis? A précis is always written in indirect form of speech, except in very rare cases where full justice cannot be done to the author of original passage without incorporating a few words in the précis in the original form. Remember, mostly the précis is written in indirect narration. So whenever you are making a précis, even if that passage is not an indirect narration, when you are making a précis, you have to convert it, you have to change it into indirect narration, indirect speech. So this is another requirement for making a good précis. Number 10, title, the most important. Now it is a must. Every piece of précis should be given a title, a heading, even when it has not been asked for. The title or the heading is the précis of the précis and indicates what is to follow. A word, a phrase, or even a short pretty sentence can be the heading. The given paragraph, if well studied and understood, would itself suggest the heading. The title is generally found in the opening or closing sentences, but sometimes it may be somewhere in the middle also. Now this is extremely important. Title, whenever you are asked to make a précis, right on the top it's written that make a précis and give it a title. So this is extremely important. Now sometimes what happens, as I have seen also, that when students they are making a précis, they give two titles. For example, they give one title that they write R and they give another title. This is a blunder. Whenever you are making a précis, just give one title. If you are giving two titles, it means you are not clear, you are uncertain about the title. It means, for example, if you are writing that précis for a job purpose, the person who will read your précis will come to know that you are unable to decide about the things, and certainly that will have a bad impact on the reader. So always give one title to your précis. That can be just one word. The ideal length is 3 to 5 words for a title. So be very careful when you choose a title, as I already discussed that is mostly found in the opening or the closing sentences of a passage. But we know that when we make a précis, there is a long process. We read it quite few times, then that title comes in our mind. So be very much careful when you are giving a title to your précis. That must be very much attractive, catchy, and it must be related to the passage. Viewers, I hope that this video will help you to understand Prezi, that what are the requirements of good Prezi. Now this is not the complete the lecture on the Prezi, and I will be sharing another video on this topic, that is how to make a Prezi. This was about what are the requirements of a good Prezi. Now the next video, the follow-up of this video, will be how to make a Prezi. So stay tuned, I will soon post that video. And thank you very much for watching this video. And viewers, if you have not subscribed to my channel, then please do subscribe it now. Meet you soon in some other video. Till then, goodbye.